Hello everybody, welcome back to Cadton Studios. Today we're going to be going over the main character Evan's personal relations with other heroes slash gooder guys in the series. I'm unfortunately recording this sick, by the way, but if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe. It really does help us out. Let's just get into it, honestly. So before I explain what is what, I'm going to introduce what the lines mean beforehand so you guys have an idea of what they all understand, because even if we're talking just about the main character, as you can see on the image, I do have them aligned to the other characters. So first, green is like a super close friend. Orange is still like a fairly well-known friend. Yellow is more of an acquaintance, someone who isn't fully a friend, kind of newer relation. Blue is more of a mentor figure, and then pink is more of a romantic interest. So slightly zooming out here for a little bit, the top row that I have right here are the rest of what you could kind of call the true main cast, because there isn't really like a proper main cast because the series does cover a lot of different people. But what we are going to consider the true main cast is probably some of the most reoccurring figures in the protagonist's life. So let's get into it. Right here, this is Zeb. He is the main character's best friend. He has been for a long time, so they have an absolute fantastic chemistry together. Literally a yin and yang situation where usually the other one, as the other one gets stronger, they both level up equally pretty much. This right here is Mike. He's another one of the protagonist's best friends. Not on the exact same wavelength as Zeb, obviously, but as it goes, those are probably the perfect trio, if I should say so myself. Yeah. This right here is Elise. This is Evan's girlfriend in the series. Also Ernest's daughter, as previously mentioned in another video. And, yeah, I would say that their relationship has always been good, necessarily. They were kind of rivals in the beginning, but it later turned into more of a feelings of love as the series progressed, so that's where that is at right now. Going clockwise here, the next person to talk about is Rob Sato. This is the last main cast we'll talk about for a while until we circle back to Yusuf. But Rob Sato has been an interesting relation with Evan because he honestly kind of started out as more of an anti-hero, kind of more scary in a way. His introduction was literally shooting himself in the head and surviving. So it started out kind of very rough, but after a little while, he started kind of warming up to the school, warming up to Evan, and Evan officially allowed him to join the Heroes Association. That's kind of where it is at. Their friendship has only grown significantly since, with the both of them helping each other out at the most prominent times. Next up right here is Ace. This is our first orange line, so this is someone who is a friend, but wouldn't say is necessarily in the full best friends category just yet, because they haven't had enough history yet. Basically, Ace was introduced in the series kind of later on because he wasn't really a prominent figure at first. He was added later on as a secret association member that was away for a couple of years. Basically, Ace has a rare condition where his soul is untraceable by normal energy detecting means. Evan was one of the only people besides Captain who could ever truly like feel his presence, which Ace definitely feels that Evan is more of a prominent figure to him than I feel like Evan realizes right now. So that's kind of why their relationship in this current category is an orange. Next up on the list here, we have Brandon Boston, also known as Beaten Blade. Beaten Blade he's a little bit more interesting of a character because I feel like they definitely, of course, do have a wonderful friendship, but I feel like it's also kind of been more of like a harder one too because of the battles that they've had to go through where they keep trying to help each other in a very strong way, sometimes even more as sacrifices. Brandon literally has died before trying to buy time, honestly, so I feel like they definitely do have a very good friendship in that category. And it honestly is kind of by like a more warrior, honorable type of friendship. Next up down here we have Freeman, another green line. Again, he was a friend from a long time ago, so you know, because of this, he automatically gets the green line. Not too much else to say about that. He's not as strong as like Mike and Zeb, but he's still definitely fairly powerful in his own way. He's just not really on the battlefield as much, but it doesn't take away from any of his friendship with Evan from the different parts of the series. All right, down here is where it starts getting a bit more interesting, a bit more intriguing. So the first guy we have here is Blade, the son of Captain, and also the current co-leader of the Secret Association. I would say that they have a better relationship right now after the time that Captain went into a magically induced coma. So that definitely strengthened the relationship between Evan and Blade a lot. However, I wouldn't say that's perfect enough to put it at a full green. So the next person that I would like to talk about is Chairman Gridlock. This is our first yellow line. Yellow line, of course, as I said, is more of an acquaintance, someone who isn't fully properly introduced. Evan only kind of recently met the chairman, so he doesn't have as much of a relationship as everyone else. Gridlock has more of a relation with some of the more adult characters. Well, the more adulty characters, not the young adults. So because Evan only recently met him because of Evan's higher new role as the true leader of the Heroes Association, he has only recently met him. Chairman Gridlock, of course, is the chairman of the association relations in the government. The next person that I would like to talk about is Grant Smith, also formerly known as Green Helmet. Green Helmet, or Grant, used to be in the Secret Association, now is the leader of the Neo Association, which is basically the what he called the evolution of the Secret Association. He founded it after the Hellgate, so it's still very new, but he was honestly kind of a mentor to Evan, kind of in the earlier days of the Alliance series, the precursor to United. I would say that they still have a pretty good relationship, even if it's like now kind of more equal. I would say that Evan still does see him more as a mentor role rather than not. And of course, we can't talk about Grant without talking about Captain. Captain is the founder and leader of the Secret Association. He's been kind of more like mentorish role on Evan's career throughout the end of Heroes into Alliance and into United. Um, Captain has had, his own struggles that Evan really sees and deeply respects Captain for it. Even if they kind of rose originally as kind of a rival to the Heroes when the Heroes were still an organization rather than an association, they still have completely overcome the challenges and they've really started to become like really good friends. So that is why Captain is at that position. These next ones are kind of interesting, so I will be talking about them like for probably a longer time. So this, of course, is Ernest, and Evan has definitely had quite the relation with him. So basically, it did kind of start out more mentor-y because Ernest was Yin's first student, Yin being the old man that also trained Evan. So Evan kind of started to respect him at first. Then it kind of started slipping away a bit after Ernest started making a lot of questionable decisions that Evan didn't really agree with, and it kind of spiraled down into Evan almost rebelling against him. Ever since that, it started to repairing more as a true friendship, but of course you also have to enter the fact that Evan also dates his daughter, so it's like, so there is kind of also more of a questionable, like, are you the right fit kind of relation there as well. Not always expressively and directly active, but there's also been that kind of slight development in that personality. Here we have Callan Drex. He is the leader of the Tank Association, which is the largest association in America, which also makes it one of the largest in the world. Basically, the Tank Association's leader, Callan, is kind of more money obsessed. We also have kind of barely learned much about him in the series because he kind of appeared kind of later on because he just wasn't really that important to the story. So Evan doesn't really know him that well. I would say that he definitely has more positive interactions with him, even though the money thing is more of a thing that Evan doesn't fully like, because Evan still kind of tries to hold to his, like, more conservative hero values, that heroes should truly be in it to save lives rather than to be in it for money, power, or anything else. Callan, of course, he's definitely more of a libertarian character as shown in the previous video, so I would definitely say that they have a relationship that can really grow, but it's kind of up to Callan and Evan both to try and make that extra step in the arcs to come. Right here we have Alexei Mikhailov, also known as Slasher. The relationship with Slasher, I would say, it's not always like the tightest, right? It's not always the strongest, simply just because I feel like they aren't always together. Because Slasher is a part of the Secret Association. So, it's like he's not always fully with Evan, which kind of always, like, diminishes the ability to it becoming green. They're still fairly good friends, though, I would say. Their powers would definitely complement each other. So we just have to see where that goes, because I think it can definitely go into green very soon. So this is Sam right here. The reason why I have him at orange is because Evan originally met him at the Hero College. Sam is a year older than Evan, so he was obviously in the higher class that just graduated. Evan Evan invited him to the Heroes Association after they went on missions together, because Sam was a really promising, like, basically second in that class overall, so Evan really wanted to see where Sam could kind of go from his heights on that. So he invited him. I would say that they still don't have the strongest of friendships yet. Definitely going to change at some point. Finally, at the last stretch here, we have Ken Kill. He is a member of the Kill clan, and while they haven't always had the best relationship, Evan really was kind of a driving factor in changing Ken Kill's perception in life, which I definitely think is why they're already at a really good friendship. They're, again, of course, they're not agreeing, but they are still quite tight in the sense of they're still very good allies together. They're pretty good friends. We have to see where the relationship goes from then, honestly, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a very good progression. Last but not least, we now have Yusuf Cameron. So Yusuf, he's, again, clearly a main cast character, so he's automatically going to be going in the green category. It's definitely an interesting friendship that they've had. Originally, Yusuf was just a prominent, like, back figure in the secret association. He was originally kind of quiet, not saying much. Their friendship really started, like, picking up, going off when they entered the hero college. That's, again, when they really started hanging out, coming up with ideas, and also started getting more battle experience together. Overall, I would say Yusuf has done some things that Evan doesn't truly, like, agree with, but in the grand scheme of things, Evan does still see him as the bestest of friends, and still trusts Yusuf a lot. And that is everyone, so I think that is going to do it for this video. If you want to hear more about any specific characters, about their actual lives, because we didn't really go too in detail on that, we just kind of explained more the relationships behind. So if you want to actually hear any of the in-detailed relations between any of the characters, please like and subscribe and tell us down below in the comments section. We will be talking about a lot of this in the videos to come, so please just stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Goodbye.